What up, Doe? I'm so happy about all the response I've been getting from doing these videos. I took a little hiatus from Facebook, and I'm happy to hear from the people I've heard from, that I've heard from in years. It's been nice to catch up with people and obviously know that people are still doing well. So again, it's the king of Detroit hockey, Akil Adams. 30 years and nobody's done it. I still think that makes me the king. Come take the throne. I'm hoping that somebody does it. We're looking for more players coming out of Detroit. One thing I wanted to explain about my parents, my dad was a heavy factor in my life, and he was a big disciplinarian. I had a bedtime until I left to go to Dubuque, basically. I always had to have a strict curfew. My dad was on me about what I ate. Although we could eat whatever we wanted, but we had to eat good during the week. And they made that possible. So the focus was always on the goal. My dad had a saying. He always said, keep your eye on the prize. So stay focused all the time on where you want to go. Now, we were just trying to be able to play college hockey. So that was the goal from the beginning. But just a little bit more about this whole Liggett thing and how it came about. So anyway, I'm gonna try out for the Michigan Nationals, and that was a year for the Pee Wee Quebec tournament. Everybody wants to play in that, right? And I really did real bad. So I tried out for the Michigan Nationals. Thought I would make it, got cut. Drake Coppage and I both got cut. We were absolutely heartbroken because we wanted to play in that tournament so bad. Of course, at the time, we called it racist. They cut us because we black. We were just hurt. We didn't make the team. And looking back on it now, I just wasn't ready yet. I still hadn't developed like I should have. And again, I was playing forward. Most of my success came playing defense, not forward. But I still think I could play forward pretty well. But most of my success came in, defense, being an offensive defenseman. So I hadn't done that at that time. So we get cut. So the next team that I played for was Monroe's. And Monroe's was owned by the late great Bill Buffalino. And the Buffalino family was just an amazing group of people, an amazing family, unbelievably nice. I had such a great experience with Bill, Jamie. I think my brother played with Jamie, and I played with Bill. But that year was a great time. We had so many good teammates on that team. Mike Kuna, Ty Fredrickson. I think McCurdy was on that team. There was a lot of good guys. Talarico, I think, was on that team. So, we had a lot of good guys on that team. Guys that really could have played AAA too, but we just all, for whatever reason, we didn't make it. So as these years going on, I'm doing my thing, but mainly I'm just a physical forward. I'm up and down the wing, finish checks. That's what I know how to do. Couldn't score though, but that I could do. At any rate, Ty Fredrickson was going to the University of Liggett at the time. I think he was in the middle school when he was. And unbeknownst to me, he mentions me to the coach at Liggett, the high school coach. I'm not sure how that all went about, but that's how it came to me. It was Ty Fredrickson that made that happen by his, letting them know about who I was and potentially seeing if I might be interested in playing there. So the coach comes over, he takes a look at me, and a few times he scouted me and eventually ended up asking me to come there to play. So, of course, I'm like, yeah, but I didn't really know what it was. Really, I didn't understand. I didn't know anything about Liggett or any school like that. I'm from Detroit. I'm used to seeing drug dealers and, you know what I'm talking about, We ain't bring no books home. You know what I mean? I'm from YBI, Young Boys. That's why I know about White Boy Rick, you know. But at any rate, so I go to Liggett, and wait a minute, back up before that. I don't think I talked much about the Bill Buffalino thing. So, Mr. Buffalino was, again, he was the guy that owned our team, and he was an amazing person. But he at the time had took over that case with White Boy Rick. So, funny thing about that was that he brought White Boy Rick to one of our games. So he came in the locker room, big ass chain on. I think he had a Shirley. He was fresh. Hood fresh. You know what I mean? Stuff we knew about. And I had never seen anybody white dressed like that. You know what I mean? But at any rate, he brought him in the locker room, introduced us to him. He's representing them at the time. We don't know that. I really didn't really understand what was going on. We heard a little bit about it, but again, I'm 13, so I'm not really into it. But it's funny, they made the movie about White Boy Rick, and they mentioned Mr. Buffalino in that, and I'm just like, damn, they ain't mentioned the part about him coming to the hockey game. But at any rate, it didn't make it in the movie. But it really happened. You can ask any of the Buffalinos about that. That's real. You can document it. You know what I mean? It's not a lie. It's true. So, however, that's a Monroe story. So anyway, get into this Liggett thing. I get the opportunity to go there, but I have to get through the admissions process. Again, I'm from Detroit. I'm going to a school on the west side. It's not the best school, but I'm doing really well in it. But it really wasn't academically where Liggett is, not even close. So we start the admissions process with Liggett, and I didn't get in. I didn't pass the entrance exam, and I took it twice, failed it twice. They had a interview portion of the admissions process where you meet with the admissions director and you have an interview. I did really well in that. I've always been able to talk, and you know, my parents always helped me with being able to communicate well, speak the Queen's English. I could do that. I think that's what got me in, was my charisma, because I failed both the tests. I went to the summer school, failed that, and they still let me in. It was either they knew that I could handle the schoolwork, or I was just that good. Then they needed me to come in there and play. So I don't know. But at any rate, I ended up getting into Liggett by slim margin. They gave us a little money off on the tuition, but I'm there to play hockey. So there's a lot of stories about Liggett. Like, I played football there. That didn't go well. I thought I was going to be a football player because my dad played football in college at Indiana University. And my dad also tried out with the Buffalo Bills. So, I thought I was going to be a football player. I didn't like that. Too much hitting and not enough, retribution. You hit me like that, I'm from the cloth where I got to fight you for doing that. It's not how you play football. So, hockey season rolls around. And one of the best memories I have about that was there was a lot of interest in how the team was going to do, because I came in, Vanderway came in, I think a guy named John Bell came in as a goalie. And so Vanderway and I were both coming out of, we played against each other the year before. So they had this thing where they had the freshmen, the older players, or upperclassmen, had the players say, hey, this was the assignment. I think it came from the coach, actually, but they intercepted our essays. So we were supposed to write where we wanted to be in 5 years. So, I put down where I really wanted to be, playing Division I college hockey, to dominate high school hockey, and that whole thing. Doug Wood and Shannon Nowicki were the captains. So they got all of our letters, and they read Oh, look at Akil. He thinks he's going to play college hockey. He thinks he's going to dominate high school hockey. And they made fun of me. And they thought it was funny that I was saying I was going to play college hockey. You know, I'm at Liggett at the time, and I'm not really on the radar. But I really believed I could do it, and I really wanted to do it. And it pissed me off that they read that letter out because it was supposed to be to the coach. They weren't supposed to make, read it and make fun of us, but that's what they did. I was so mad about that. I kept that with me. I believe that's what helped me propel myself to a higher level was that day. That pissed me off so bad. I was so mad, but I was young and I was still small at the time. I ended up getting bigger. But at that time I was, 5'6", 5'7", not really $150. Not really that big. So, and I'm new. So I didn't get into it with him. So anyway, the season goes on. I have a pretty good season, but Doug Wood had an amazing season. He was scoring breaking all kind of records, Mr. High School, everything. And I remember at the end of the season, I was like, hey, Doug, you got any colleges? Because he won all these, he was breaking all these records. He leading the team, leading the league in scoring, all-time leading scorer in high school history. He was just Mr. Everything. So I asked him, I was like, hey, you got any schools, that are going to be, that you are thinking about going to, or anybody talk to you? He was like, what are you talking about? I'm not good enough to play college hockey. None of us are. None of us are going to play D1. That's another thing that stuck with me. Now, he probably doesn't know this, but when he told me that, I was absolutely terrified. I was like, not play. Why am I here? I'm not here for that. I went home. I talked to my dad. I said, hey, man, you remember Doug Wood? Yeah. I was like, he said he don't have nobody talking to him. He ain't going nowhere. He said nobody could play. I was like, I think it's time for us to go back and try this AAA thing again. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to do that. He did everything. He ain't going nowhere. I don't want that. I don't want that. So my dad said, okay. We were already struggling academically at Liggett. We were already struggling behaviorally. I think I had like some kind of record for the most detentions. You couldn't do nothing at Liggett. You couldn't walk the halls fast. And me, I'm knocking people's books out their hands. I'm getting detentions all the time. I got so many detentions that I had detentions where I just sat at the wall with nobody else in the room. You couldn't, and they wouldn't let me do any work. I was a real behavior issue because it was such a different environment from where I came from. It was tough to adjust. However, this is what came from Liggett. I did learn how to study. I did learn how to take notes. I was pushed academically. I never had a problem with school again after Liggett. Anyway, I didn't. All throughout high school, no problem. Because Liggett helped me get the fundamentals so that I could educate myself. Learning how to study, learning how to take notes. Actually reading and finishing the book. They had summer reading at Liggett. I never had that before. So, and then also the people I met at Liggett, like, Matty Maroon and Bill Robb, Alex Crenshaw, and so many really wealthy people. And I remember Alex Crenshaw and I, we were in a talent show at Liggett, and we rapped. Stereotypical, the black guy from Detroit decides to rap for the talent show. But I did it with Alex Crenshaw. I can't remember that other guy. I think it was John Davis. Well, maybe that's not him. But anyway, he would know who he is. But we all did our best impressions of Run DMC and rapped at the talent show. That was at Liggett. A lot of fun. I learned about Guns N' Roses at Liggett. That's where I started listening to Guns N' Roses because they played it all the time in the locker room. I learned about money at Liggett. That I thought, before going to Liggett, I thought we were well off, my parents. We were in the east side of Detroit. I thought we were well off. We were going on vacations, going to Disney World. Nobody in my community was doing any of that stuff. I go to Liggett. I remember we had, at the beginning of the school year, they had us in an English class write essays about, what you did in the summer, like, your summer experience. So we went to the Epcot Center. I thought nobody was going to be able to top that. I get in that English class, people are going to England to visit their families. You mean you know your in there and you went to visit your, my cousins live in Missouri. You going to visit cousins in England? Wow. It was mind blowing. These people had money. And when I learned what the difference between rich and wealthy was at Liggett. But anyway, it was a really, really great experience. And I only was there for a year, but I made some tremendous friends at Liggett. Some guys I still keep in contact with, or try to, like Dave Nicolini and Arthur Sindel. I mean, just anybody that went to Liggett at that time. There's so many people, and they still remember me like I went there. It's crazy. You form such a bond. The way that school operated, we had this whole thing in the 9th grade about, I forgot what it was called, but maybe it was like Project Adventure, I think it was called. But it was a series of different kinds of like trust your school, or your schoolmates, to trust in your schoolmates. Really trust them. One thing was like falling backwards off the bleachers and everybody catching you. I didn't remember we had that overnight camping experience at Liggett. Who goes overnight with their team, with their schoolmates? We did that. We didn't get to stay because the hockey team had a game, so we couldn't stay overnight in the tents and all that. Although I really wanted to. I thought that was going to be, I didn't even want to go, but anyway, we couldn't do it. So, but everybody else did. We participated in the daytime stuff, and then we had to leave because we had to play later on that night. So that was just some of the experiences from Liggett that really changed my life. It was eye-opening, and it all happened because of hockey. I would have never been there if it wasn't because of that, and if it wasn't because of Todd Frederickson mentioning my name. Who knows where I would have went after that? Because it was, I might have been at King, and I might not be here today to tell you about that story. King was no joke. But at any rate, the Liggett thing turned into the Michigan Nationals, which is where I left after I went to Liggett. But Liggett was a tremendous experience. It was something I'll never forget, haven't forgot. And eventually I ended up coming back and coaching the team. And Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and when you know Grosse Pointe, there's Grosse Pointe Woods, and that's where Liggett is, Grosse Pointe Shores, Grosse Pointe City. Very affluent area, always be in my heart. I've been going to Grosse Pointe, playing at Grosse Pointe Hockey Arena, then going to play at Liggett. So many connections to Grosse Pointe and Grosse Pointers, if they're still there. And, even as a coach. So University of Liggett was my first step into greatness. I did well. I was on the second line, but I could have played the first line, but I didn't want to play my off wing. So I played the right side, played second line as a freshman, started every game. Well, not started every game. You start first and second line, but I was playing a lot. And against older kids, I developed a little bit more because the kids were older. Not much more, not to say the skill level was that great, but they were just older, so it was a little bit tougher being a 14-year-old playing against a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old or, kid 17 turning 18. So the Liggett experience was the springboard into the next step, which was, trying to get to college. And that was an instrumental step. And I can't thank Todd Frederickson enough for thinking about me. And he probably wouldn't know how much that impacted my life and even my family and just understanding just how the world worked on a bigger scale. Because there's people who have it and there's people who don't. And I learned that at Liggett. I was around the people who had it, and they really had it. So all I had was hockey, and that's all I took so serious. If they are going to be elite, they're not going to beat me on the ice, and that's the reason why I left, because I felt like I could move to higher plateaus. Wanted to move to higher plateaus. Didn't feel like that was a place that would be able to get me there. And that's the only reason I left. I wish we had the money to be able to stay in the school, but then play outside hockey. If we had the resources to do that, that would have been the best thing in the world, was to be to finish there. But we weren't in a position to afford the school and travel hockey, so I had to leave and go to a Bishop Gallagher, which was right on the corner, but it was a lot cheaper, Catholic school, and that's where I left. That's where I attended after leaving the University of Liggett. One of the best experiences of my life. Still can't thank the Buffalinos enough for the experience I had, and just being able to be a part of that history, which I really didn't have anything to do with. It was Mr. Buffalino's, client. I was just on a team and happened to be there when he brought him in, brought White Boy Rick to the game. But to this day, White Boy Rick is like, famous now. He's been through all of it. He's got a movie out, and he probably doesn't even remember doing that. But if anybody knows White Boy Rick, have him check me out, because I would love to see if he remembers coming to the locker room at that time to talk to us with Mr. Buffalino and his bodyguard. So, shout out to the Buffalinos. God bless them. Good people. Not a bad thing to say. I remember they had a sister. She was cool too. I don't know if they had more than one, but that's what I remember. But I'm old, so if I'm forgetting anything, my apologies. But again, so we go from Michael to Liggett. Now we're going to Bishop Gallagher, and we're going back to AAA, and that'll be my next video. So please like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to get this YouTube video off. I want people to know I'm the king of Detroit. It hasn't been another win with me in 30 years. It still hasn't been anybody to do what I did to come from Detroit. I'm waiting to see who's next. Who's coming? Or am I going to go down as the greatest?